Hey everyone, this is Beacon, the Poi mechanic, and today's video is a review of the Ice Poi version 2.0 from Flow on Fire. These came out about a year and a half ago, and I've had a couple sets since then, and I've been putting them through a lot of tests, and in that time, I've come to the conclusion that these are the best LED contact Poi on the market. Now, do keep in mind I am sponsored by Flow on Fire, but that in no way affects my opinion about these. My opinion is based on 22 years of spinning and knowing what I want and finding it in this setup. Now the V1s were amazing. They were the best at the time, but there were some downsides, but they fixed all the downsides with this setup. I did do a review on the version 1 if you want to watch that, but if you're looking to upgrade, you can just watch this one. I'll cover all the differences between the two. At the end of the video, I'll give you a discount code if you're interested. And in the meantime, let's get into some specs. So the heads are 95 millimeters wide. Originally, I believe they came in 90, 95, and 100, but most of us switched from 100 to 95 and never looked back. They're great for everything from tosses to contact, for doing head grabs. If you have small hands, it's still easy to grab those. The big selling point for 95 for me was the ability to do tether traps, where you grab onto the head and the handle with the same hand and then grab the other Poi. With 100 millimeters, it was a lot harder to be consistent with those grabs. So when I switched to this, it was a no-brainer. The heads weigh 200 grams with the capsule inside. The head's got a nice baby soft texture to it. It's not like a raised texture. It's soft, kind of like your day Poi would feel. Now, over time, that softness turns into more of a grippiness, and man, that is grippy. It's so nice. The V1s, they were slick always, and sometimes when your hands were cold or dry or whatever, it was harder to grab onto the heads, where these, it's super easy. Now the V1s were known to pick up scuff marks. If you hit your wall, paint might transfer to it, they'd get dirty and they were harder to clean, where these are anti-scuff and it's just super easy to keep them clean. So that was a big improvement. Now, not too sure if you're going to see this on video. A lot of times LED doesn't show up the way it really is on video, but with the V1s, there was a bit of a hot spot with the LED shining through, where the V2s, the whole head just pops. Now this was great for its time, but with this, that frosted look is just such a better light dispersion. There is a little bit of a dark spot there, as you might be able to see, and along the sides. That's just because of how the light shines out from the LED. But when you're spinning it, you just don't notice it at all. Now, if you knew the V1s, you knew pain. These things were hard as a rock, especially the older they get or the colder they got. It was like spinning with a diamond when they were cold. I have broke my glasses, busted my nose, cracked or cut my eye, knocked myself down a couple times. So they were kind of hard to recommend to beginners because of that. Well, with these, I can definitely hand them off to a kid and not worry about them getting hurt because they're nice and squishy. Now, when I say squishy, they're not so squishy that when you're doing like a head grab, it's going to collapse under your hand. It feels more like your day Poi, but squishy when you're either hitting yourself or popping the capsule out. That capsule comes out super easy compared to the V1s. And when you were trying to take them out when they were cold, I mean, forget about it. And because of that, it would a lot of times crack around here, especially with age. Now, you might have noticed that sound. That's because of 4 air vents in here that allow the air to escape when they hit or when you're pulling the capsule out. It does have a seal that goes over that, though, to keep the inside nice and clean. The LED inside here is the Flotoys V2 capsule. It's a tried and true capsule. It's been out there a long time. It's the best LED capsule on the market as far as I'm concerned. It's USB rechargeable. It has 5 different brightness levels. The amount of battery you get out of it depends on the brightness level and the mode you're using. If you're using a balls to the wall strobe mode with level 5 brightness, you might get around 3 to 4 hours. There are certain modes and levels of brightness where you can get over a day's worth of use out of this. So some people go to the festival on 1 charge and get by. This has 64 different modes, and I believe all modes have a couple of adjustments each, and each mode's going to do something a little bit different. It has kinetic awareness, so basically it has a accelerometer in there, and that's really cool because there's I could have this turned off, or it's in sleep mode, and as soon as I pick it up, it's aware of that it moved and it turns it on, so it's a good battery saver. But it affects your modes. So I'm going to go to page 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's my favorites page where you can save up to 60 different favorites for easy access. This is my all-time favorite mode. I think this is called Sparkle Pony. It is really cool. Like right there, I'm spinning at this speed. It's blue. If I speed it up, it turns green. If I do a toss, it turns red. And I think that's really cool because you can just be spinning super quick at one color, and then all of a sudden the beat of a song drops and it just turns red or whatever. So I love the kinetic response on these. Everything's controllable by one button, or you can get a standalone app, and a bridge is a device that the app communicates to the head with. That is a bit extra, but you can do everything with one button. Now you can build shows in this, and for that I would recommend getting the app. When I mean shows, like there's 2 pages where you can put your favorite modes in a sequence that plays to a song, so you can get the modes to change to the beat of a song if you know what you're doing, and that's super neat. Everything's controllable with one button, or you can control all your props with one button. So in other words, I can change each head individually, or I can change one or all of the props. I can change up to an infinite amount of vision props with the press of one button. Now, the reason that's important to me is I spin this setup a lot. This has the Poi 2.0 heads with the LED on the head and the handle. This handle, something new I came out with, it's called the Lollipop Pro. It's a 3D printed texturized handle with a bearing inside of it, and it also uses that flow light. So I can be spinning, instead of having to stop to change my mode, I can just put my finger around the back and change it. The capsule inside here is warranted by Flow Toys lifetime warranty, but because this is so bomb-proof to begin with, and then you add that head, which gives it a lot of protection, it's just, you're not gonna damage this. And if you do, Flow Toys is really easy to work with. Let's see, yeah, I think I covered everything on that part. I'll now show you how to take it apart. So this is the V1 and this is the V2. As you can see, the V2 actually has a sleeve built into it that sticks in about that far. And what that does is it holds on to the button side of the capsule, but more importantly is it keeps the capsule centered. Now, I can't remember if the V1 had this issue as much, but certain pod mods will have the issue that if you're spinning really quick, like if you're doing a high-speed orbital or popping a really heavy stall, once in a while the head would elongate, which would cause the capsule to get dislodged, and sometimes it'd be in there at a weird angle, and you'd kind of have to finagle it to get it into place. Well, with this sleeve, that prevents that from happening. Even if you go past the lock like that and jiggle it, it's still centered, so you just go like this, and it's locked back in place. Now, as you can see between the little air vents there are 4 tabs, and those tabs will lock around this ring here. So that and the sleeve is a huge improvement over the V1. Now, to get the capsule out, just hold it like this, press by the rope, and that'll give you access to your charge port. Flow on Fire says you can just leave it like this while you're charging. With the V1s, I definitely did not recommend that, just because the material was harder and it had sort of a memory. So since this part of the capsule is thicker than this part, if you just left it in there like that while charging, when you pushed it back into place, that hole would remain big for quite a while, and then it eventually would shrink back over this. And I feel like that also caused the thing to crack a little bit. So that material prevents that. Now, to get this out, just pull straight out, and then you can just disconnect the shell. The shell used to have tape around it. Nowadays, they use this 3D printed capsule lock that just slides right over. Now, if you're going to take the rope out, just pull as straight as you possibly can, and you might get lucky. There we go. And then you can Just pry it out like that. What I said you might get lucky is that sleeve is stuck on the rope, or the capsule lock is stuck in the sleeve right there. Now, Flow on Fire recommends using needle nose pliers to get this out, to reassemble it. You pinch, and then you can just grab onto that and then carefully pull this out. Now, if you're unlucky, this gets, stuck inside here, and it's a bit more of a challenge to get it out with pliers. Just be careful, just because you don't want to damage your dust seal right here. And then to put it back in, just do that. Push it straight. Should pop out the top. Put the rope sleeve on. Put the capsule on. Give it a little bit of a twist just to make sure that the seam is closed. And then slide that back into place. And then you're supposed to line the shell up with the vent ports there, and then just push this into place. Now, I usually pinch this to make this part a little bit more rigid. You can pull, push, pull, and then just lock it into place. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of this method just because I don't usually carry needle nose pliers with me. What I do is I actually have a sleeve that I made that's quite a bit thicker, that's got weight sleeves in it. And with the thinner sleeve, if you're not putting it on the capsule by hand, if it's just sitting in there, it might, fold over when you're trying to put it in. With the thicker sleeve, it'll just go in no matter what. So it sounds like Flow on Fire is actually going to start making this the sleeves thicker, so that's pretty cool. But if you're using the thicker sleeves, they don't come out of the head; they just stay in there. And basically, it's kind of hard to do on camera when it's in front of me here, but basically you just move it back and forth, maybe bounce it up and down, and then you'll probably get lucky like that. And then push it through. And then I do this little flourish thing just to get it started a little easier, and then should pop right back into place. Now, the reason I like Flow on Fire so much is the ability to get your poi customized exactly as you want them to be. They have more options out there than anybody on the market as far as I'm aware of. They have dozens of different day poi colors, a few different LED heads. They have best fire poi on the market, hands down. So many different shapes and sizes and textures of knobs, different like colors, or you can get the LED knobs. They have I think 10 different LED knobs currently. And then they have a lot of rope. Different patterns, different colors, different thicknesses, different characteristics, and different stiffnesses. My personal setup is I usually have about 10 extra grams in the head. That's something I just like a little bit heavier of a setup. I have JLPC rope, which is a rope I came up with a while back. It uses a JL core inside of a VPC jacket. And VPC already acts like a stiff rope, meaning that when you do a toss, the rope stays straight. It doesn't coil up like some ropes do. But with this rope, it's just a little bit stiffer. It starts off really stiff, and then it loosens up and swells over time and just feels great on the hands. The knob I'm using is a Flow on Fire sphere knob. It's got the .XL chip inside of it. It's a USB rechargeable chip with a bunch of different colors from Ultra Poi. Now, on the Flow on Fire site on Etsy, they have some information on, each rope's going to shrink a little bit over time. So I recommend figuring out that shrinkage factor and then getting your poi made a little bit longer than you're used to and expect it to shrink into size. And then they'll show you how to get, the measurements for your body. Now, I have a little bit longer poi for my style of like contact poi, basically. If you have any questions about, what length to get or what options to get, feel free to reach out. I love helping people. But let's see. I think that's it. As promised, I'll leave a discount code up here somewhere. It's Poi Mechanic. It's all one word. It's all capitalized. Let me know if you have any comments or questions, and yeah, see you next time.